what is your hoped for outcome? I mean, what would you like to see happen as a result of all this?
So what we hope and expect to come out of this is a constructive civil discussion of this issue by bringing in 5 speakers who will address the subjects from a diversity of backgrounds and viewpoints. We have Christy Coleman, the CEO of our museum, who is an historian by training and has worked for the last 30 years in museums, and we'll be talking about monuments from a public history, specifically museum background. She's most recently been a member of Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe's task force on monuments. Dr. Thomas J. Brown, a professor of history at the University of South Carolina, is a historian and also a Harvard-trained lawyer. He has written the best college textbook about Civil War monuments generally, Union, Confederate soldier monuments, African American emancipationist monuments, as well as lost cause era monuments, Monument Avenue and elsewhere. And most recently, a book about sites of Civil War memory in South Carolina, where he teaches in Charleston and Columbia. Dr. Reverend Timothy Sador of the City University of New York, Bronx, is not only an English professor, but a clergyman. He is the author of an illustrated guide to Confederate monuments in Virginia and has written a second book on Tennessee monuments and is working on a third on Mississippi. His studies are not only an illustrated guide to those states' monuments, but also the history of their inscriptions and their backstories. And he'll be talking about all 3 of those states' monuments in his presentation. Professor Irvin Jordan of the University of Virginia is an archivist by trade and a historian, best known for his path-breaking study on Black Confederates and Afro-Yankees in Civil War Virginia. Most recently, he has been a resource person for the ongoing discussion of monuments in Charlottesville, specifically the Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson monuments. And his presentation at the symposium will be about Robert E. Lee on monuments in Charlottesville, in Richmond, and New Orleans, and elsewhere. And finally, Dr. James Loewen, who is a sociologist by trade and very well known as the author of a trilogy of books about where and how Americans get their history and why that history is wrong, whether it's from high school history textbooks or American historical sites. And he has also co-edited a book called The Confederate and Neo-Confederate Reader. We'll conclude the symposium with a panel discussion that involves all the speakers and the public. And like the symposium itself, we'll try to find a balance between the general and the specific. We would like the panel discussion to take advantage of all the things that will have come out in the 5 presentations that preceded it, and to address not only the past, the present, and the future of Civil War monuments. So no doubt the topics will include controversies that have been ongoing in places like Charlottesville, Virginia, topics of perennial interest, such as Richmond's very famous Monument Avenue, any other controversies that may come up between now and the time of the symposium. And no doubt we'll address some of the proposals that have been floated around the nation about what to do with monuments, such as, in some cases, taking them down or moving them to other locations, contextualizing them with signs, adding more monuments to the commemorative landscapes. I suspect the panel discussion will venture into all of those topics.